Ferry si man ba léegi baaxul sax dafa xaw a tene nii na waaye baaxul de te right now ñu ngi nii war a éega ñu ne xam nga Ferry nekk si dox I think ports war nañu gën a góorgóorlu seen fii te soo bàyyi xel same système la ñu ko use for more than 30 years ñu use same système.
léegi nii saa ni su Ferry bi demul da coono bu métti la ñu tey digal parce que da nga dee fay leen saa da ngay jënd sa ticket ba pare ñu ñëw ñu la Ferry bi demul doo xam na war a def foog nga jaaree noonu delluwaat sa ticket doo ko dee mën a delloo foog nga sacrifice yóbbu ko noonu sànni ko sans doo am keneen koo ko jaay. li si Ferry bi taxawee dañ la war a comprendre ne Ferry bi dafa taxaw pour bu kenn jënd ticket parce que am na benn ko am na laa fii la dëkk waaye daf dee jiw jiyee ko gaal war a dem Farafeñe la jaaree ñëw Kombo soo xoolee Abdallah ak fii nu mu jege wante nga war a wiiree ba Farafeñe ñëwaat loolu dafa métti waaw te pass transport boobu tamit dafa ko balaa seer tamit ba sax war nga dugg si gaal yi soo demee foofu time boo dee jël foofu rek problème la te soo bëgg a eb some people ñu ne non dañuy eb lu leen ne.
Yes, on Monday there was a breakdown on the ferry, but in actual fact it was not a breakdown. It was a maintenance that needs to be done before the ferry is allowed to be deployed into service. So when the ferry landed at Banjul, the engineers thought fit that they would stop the ferry and do these repairs. But then the repairs took longer than it was anticipated. So that's why it took almost 2 to 3 hours before the repairs was completed. We have a strategy for deploying ferries. When the ferry has only 2 engines, we do not allow the ferry to go on service. So we have to ensure that the ferry is operating on at least 3 engines. We have a lot of difficulties, especially at the Banjul Barra, in terms of the environment. Because if you look at the Barra, there is a lot of siltation at Barra. There is a lot of sand sedimentation at Barra that is causing a lot of sand buildup around the landing area. And that is making it difficult for this ferry to land. So these areas need to be dredged in order for the ferry to land properly. At this time, the place is not yet dredged, and because of that, sometimes you'll see the propeller hitting the ferry, and when that happens, the impact, goes as far as the engine, and this causes a lot of damage. The other issue we've been having is, people have been throwing a lot of garbage into the sea, especially plastics, nets, stray nets, ropes, all these things, they cause entanglement. Sometimes they entangle with the propulsion of the ferry, and this eventually damage the propulsion system. This is a very big challenge at Banjul Barra crossing route, and we are appealing to the public for them to try as much as possible not to be throwing, garbage, like plastics, like ropes, like, stray nets into the sea, because this causes a lot of operational challenges for the ferries. I would say the public should exercise a lot of patience. We are not sitting down. We are doing as much as possible to provide a reliable and a very safe ferry service. This will take a while to stabilize, but indeed it will. We have plans that we have put in place, but we have already started implementing. As you can see now, during low tide, Kanilai ferry is not allowed to operate, because of the problems I have just mentioned. So during low tide, Kanila is taken out of service and is only allowed to operate at high tide. So we believe that this will reduce the breakdown rate. At the same time, it will increase the availability of the ferries. The other thing is we are trying to get a lot of spares. We understand 2020, indeed is a very difficult year for everybody because of this pandemic. Transportation and a lot of things have become a very big problem. So we are trying to get the necessary spares, but there are a lot of delays associated to this. But eventually these spares will come, and the other engines that are not functioning on the ferry will be repaired as well. There is the medium-term plan that we also have, and we are trying to implement. The process has already begun. We are ordering new pump jets and new engines to make sure that we retrofit the ferries, to be able to operate on all 4 units. The long-term plan that we have is a new ferry. But that is something that may take probably, 3 to 4 years or up to 5 years.